Functions. So Unit 3, we're going to learn about functions. We're going to talk about functions and function notation, inputs and outputs, do a little bit of function machines, domain and range, and then we're going to investigate some functions. This should be review from 8th grade. Make sure you copy down these definitions in your notes. Example 1, determine if each of the following is a function. So one of the things we're going to learn about is the vertical line test and how we can utilize that. What the vertical line test says is that if you can draw any vertical line on a graph and it only intersects one time, then that graph would be a function. So we're going to go through this and determine yes or no. So vertical line only touches once. This would be yes. It is a function. Okay, vertical line intersects twice. No, not a function. You go ahead and try the rest of them and check back in to see the answers. There's what I got. I had a yes for this one, no for the circle intersects twice, yes for this V-shaped graph, and then I had a no here for this set of points. This is a little tricky because you got to check each point. All right, but here at -1, I ended up having 2 points at the same spot. Therefore, that was not a function. Now, determine if each of these are a function. Same question, just given to you in a different way. So what I'm looking for here, does each x value only have one y value? So here the 5 is getting mapped to a 4 and a 1. So right away, that tells you no, not a function. In this particular problem, I want to look at each x value, 0, 3, -5, and 4. None of those x values repeat. Therefore, they're not paired with another, two separate y values. So yes, this is a function. Just some different forms that you may see the same question. Given the function, find the values. So here, this is function notation. Functions could be f of x, g of x, h of x, any variable that we want there. And what this is saying is if f of x is defined as 5 minus x squared, what is f of 8? So basically we're replacing the x with an 8. So I simply write the equation that I have. Okay, that's not good writing. 5 minus 8 squared. And then I solve that. So 5 minus 8 is -3. Squared is 9. So this equals 9. G of x, what is g of -3? So that's -3 in the parentheses for the x, squared minus 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. This one's a little trickier because I have a fraction, so I'm going to have 2 times 3 in the numerator plus 7. Make sure you use parentheses for the numerator. And then I'm going to have 3 squared minus 9 in the denominator. And when I simplify this, I end up with 13 divided by 0. That's a special thing. We say that is undefined because we cannot divide by 0. You go ahead and try the other ones and check back in. So over here in this example, plugged in a 9. 5 minus the square root of 9 is 5 minus 3. That equals 2. Number 8 here gave us a special scenario. 5 minus 9 all under the square root gave us -4. Square root of -4, we haven't learned that yet, so we say non-real solution. You must say that specifically. Finally, negative outside 4 squared gives us -16. Now, what happens when we're given the output? So all those problems there, we were given the input, so we were told what to plug in for x. Now, we're being told what f of x equals. So that's saying that the equation equals 25. So I take -4x minus or plus 1 and let that equal 25. And now I'm solving for the input. So when I solve this, I'm going to subtract 1. I get -4x equals 24. I divide by -4. I get x equals -6. So what that's telling me is the input of -6 gives me an output of 25. Remember, f of x is a fancy way to say y. So really this is saying y equals 25. You have to find x. And last but not least, some function machines. And again, these function machines are just like the previous problems, just with this, fun-looking shape of a function machine. So this first one, my input is 2. That means I'm plugging 2 in for x. What is the output? So if I plug a 2 in for that x, what do I get? So -2 times 2 plus 4 is negative 4 plus 4, which is 0. Here, negative 6 is my input, so negative 6 minus 2 more, and then I'm taking the absolute value, so that gives me 8. And over here, I have the square root of 9 plus 1, so the square root of 9 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4. This last one down here gives me the output of negative 2. So if I know that the output is negative 2, if I went backwards through the machine, what would the input be? So negative 2 has to equal 3x plus 7, and I need to find out what x is. So I minus 7 from both sides. I get negative 9 equals 3x. Divide by 3, x equals negative 3. So my input would be negative 3. And that's functions.